Welcome to episode 19 of the Tailgate Sports podcast. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a full episode. I had, family things with the holidays, and then I got really sick, so I wasn't able to record any full episodes. But we're back. The NFL regular season's over, so we're going to talk about a couple little NFL things, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. The Vikings looked really good this year, exceeding all expectations, as well as Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold had such an amazing year for this team, and I think it's a really nice step in the right direction for the Vikings. But there's all these questions. Should they keep Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold had 4,300 passing yards this season, 35 passing touchdowns, 66 completion percentage, 14 wins. I know he had a rough last game of the season that landed them in the 5 seed, but he had 14 wins. That's just not something that's a fluke. He had a great year, won with this Vikings squad, and I think that he deserves a contract. I know they have J.J. McCarthy, and you could trade him for a first-round pick this year. I think that's very possible. I also think that you could also franchise tag Sam Darnold, see how he does next year, and then decide if you want to move off of JJ. I do think that letting Sam Darnold leave the building is a terrible move. The Vikings ended up being the 5 seed, but that doesn't show what their season really was. They had 14 wins, and it came down to the last game with the Lions, and both these teams are in the same division, so unfortunately the loser is the 5 seed. But I do think that they deserve the recognition. I think Sam Darnold deserves the recognition, and Sam Darnold should get a contract with the Vikings. I know he'll get a contract anywhere he decides to go, really, with a quarterback vacancy, but I do think that the Vikings should try to keep this guy. He works well in the system. The team likes him. Keep this guy. See what happens next year. Tyreek Hill wants out of the Dolphins. A couple years ago, he left the Chiefs for the money, and now he wants to win again. He said, "It was great playing here, but at the end of the day, I got to do what's best for my career." Where do you think that Tyreek Hill? Where do you think Tyreek? I'm sorry. Where do you think Tyreek Hill is going to go? I think the Commanders would be a great fit, pairing him up with Terry McLaurin. That could be a really good duo. Jane Daniels has shown that he could be an elite quarterback. The Chargers going with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert finally had a nice receiving weapon this year, and pairing him with Tyreek Hill, this could be lethal. We know that Justin Herbert could sling the ball, and he would look great in this offense. Number 3, I have the Patriots. I think the Patriots need a clear-cut number 1 option, and I know T. Higgins, there's a lot of talks of him going there, but I think that if Tyreek Hill wants out, maybe they could get him, and he would look really good with Drake May. It is in division, so I'm not sure. But those are the teams that I think would best fit and best use Tyreek Hill. I also just want to say Tyreek Hill wanting out this soon after leaving the Chiefs for this money. He expected to go here and win. He compared Tua and Patrick Mahomes. It has not worked out for him, and now he is definitely regretting that decision. He wants to go to a win-now team again. I have a little bit of a list, a little bit of a game here. These are my top 5 NFL teams going into the playoffs. Oh, that's not how I meant to tee that up. These are my top 5 scariest teams going into the playoffs this season. At 1, I have the Chiefs. You have Patrick Mahomes. They're back-to-back Super Bowl winning champs right now. They have the best quarterback in the league and the best coach. They have to be the scariest team. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills. This team looks so complete, this offense. Really, everybody on the squad eats. The running back, they have multiple wide receivers. Josh Allen is a game changer. And the defense has looked a little bit shaky, but they have had their moments where they looked really, really good. At number 3, I have the Lions. I know they have their injuries, but this squad has just looked unbelievable this year. Every single matchup you see, they look incredible and put up a bunch of points. The defense is great. I'm going with the Lions at 3. At 4, I have the Eagles. They look so complete, and they are just looking super consistent right now. The defense has really stepped up. I have to put them at 4. At 5, I was undecided between the Vikings and the Broncos. I think the Broncos defense is definitely super scary to match up against, especially as a Bills fan. It's going to be tough with Patrick Surtain. He has held all his wide receiver opponents to not a lot of yards. He's really been elite, but I had to put the Vikings. Like I said, Sam Darnold has looked unbelievable, and the defense and offense just looked really good. I have to put them at number 5. Just another couple little news that happened in the NFL. The Jags fired Doug Peterson. The Pats fired Gerard Mayo after his first year. And the Raiders fire Antonio Pierce. The Raiders' coaching history is just absolutely horrendous. Year after year, these coaches just ruin this team. I think this year they have the opportunity to change the culture, bring in a new coach, bring in a new quarterback at the same time. I think this is the opportunity to really change things around for the Raiders. The Pats, I don't really know who you're going to bring here. I think you need a culture setter or a really creative offensive mind, one or the other. And the Jags, this is tough because their defense is okay, their offense is okay. Trevor Lawrence has had his upsides, downsides. This is a job, I think, it's a little scary to take if you're a head coach, but it's still, I think, a good job. The Titans ended up with the number 1 overall pick. And will they take Shedeur? They need a quarterback. I know Will Levis, I don't think they're going to be rolling with him, but I do think Dion might have something to say with him going to the Titans. But although I have heard Shedeur say that he just wants to go number 1, he doesn't care where. So I do think they're going to draft Shedeur. Last off for the NFL talk. Josh Allen is the MVP of the NFL right now. Lamar Jackson has more turnovers. I know stats side by side could be a little bit deceiving, but Josh Allen, he has sat around 11 quarters of this season because they were up so much. They are averaging 3 points a drive right now. That's top 5 in NFL history, and he doesn't have a 1,000-yard receiver, and James Cook just broke 1,000 yards rushing. He is showing that he could put the team on his back. They have a bunch of wide receivers with touchdowns this year. He has implemented so many different people into this offense. He is the sole reason this team is so good, and he is the most valuable player. Moving on to some NBA. The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler, and they want to part ways. Jimmy wants out of there. He says he has no happiness playing with this team. And the Heat aren't in the worst position right now. They still have some good players on this roster and could be in the playoffs. Tyler Hero playing the best ball he has. I think that they can get rid of him and still get another little piece and still make a playoff run. I think that Jimmy Butler should go to a contender. I think that Jimmy Butler would best fit with the Rockets. I think we've been saying they need a consistent number 1 scorer. I know Jalen Green has his upsides, but I think pairing him with a Jimmy Butler could be really, really good. He is a guy who could consistently score. We've seen what he could do in the playoffs. Another vet presence, that would be really good. Number 2, I have the Grizzlies. I think they need a number 2 real consistent scorer, someone who you know is good in the playoffs. We've seen this team. They could compete. I think Jimmy Butler would be absolutely fantastic for them. And number 3, I have the Timberwolves. We've seen Julius Randle isn't working out the best. Dante DiVincenzo, he's had a little bit of a spark lately. And Mike Conley is not looking the greatest. I think they need another consistent scorer, and Jimmy Butler really brings that. He brings that dog into the playoffs. I think that would be really good to pair up with Anthony Edwards. I'm not sure what you would give up, but I think that whatever it is, this team would be better with Jimmy Butler. Next, we're going to do our wild card predictions, and that is it for this episode. Let me just pull those up. Okay. NFL wild card round picks. Starting off with the Chargers and the Texans. This is going to be close. I think the Texans were a little bit of a disappointment this year. I'm going to go with the Chargers. Steelers and Ravens. Lamar Jackson is 3-5 against the Steelers. The Steelers has won one this year. I do think it's going to be a very close game, but I think I'm going to rock with the Steelers. I think they're going to upset the Ravens. Next, we got the Broncos and the Bills. I'm not going to lie, as a Bills fan, I'm a little nervous. This defense is really good, but I think that Josh Allen and the team will get it together, and they're going to beat the rookie quarterback. I'm going with the Bills here. The Packers and the Eagles. This is going to be a really good matchup. I want to say the Packers. I really do. But I think I'm going to go with the Eagles here. I think overall they're just a better team. The Commanders and the Buccaneers. This one's going to be close. It's hard for me to decide here. I love Baker and I love this squad. I just think the Commanders are a little more well-rounded. Their defense is a little better. I'm going to go with the Commanders here. Next, we got the Vikings and the Rams. The Vikings, I've been riding high with them. I think Sam Darnold, I think this is his chance to prove it. His chance to earn a big contract and come back to the Vikings next year. I think the Rams are a little bit of a sleeper. This offense, I think, is a top offense, but I'm going to go with the Vikings here. That is it for episode 19. Tune in next week for episode 20.